everyone. Thanks for joining me for yoga today. We'll be doing a wall yin practice. I am going to keep a blanket close by as well as a bolster, but know that you can do this without any props. They can be helpful if you experience low back pain or have tight hamstrings to put underneath your hips, so feel free to take it or leave it. We'll come up onto the wall, starting with one hip against the baseboard. You'll plant your hands behind you and lean into your hands. You could scoot your bum forward to help, and then lift your legs up as you lean back and swing your legs up as you walk your back down to the floor. And if you're a bit far from the baseboard, use your elbows to push yourself in closer. This is a great time to readjust and maybe slide that blanket underneath your hips. If you'd like to use something underneath your head as a pillow, you can as well. We're going to hold it here in legs up the wall, Viparita Karani, or the wall caterpillar. Allowing gravity to help relax our legs down into our pelvis, our hip bones. Returning stagnant blood to your heart. Fighting off varicose veins and blood clots. This just has a really calming effect on your nervous system to invert like this. You might like to rest your hands on your belly to start to connect in with your breath more. Feel your belly rise as you breathe in, and your belly fall as you breathe out. Relax the back of your skull, your jaw, the back of your shoulders, and the back of your hips. If you want to encourage your legs to soften and sink downward, you might take your bolster or your pillow, bend at your knees, reach up and place it onto the soles of your feet, and then straighten your legs. It's okay to keep a soft micro bend. Just adding in a little more weight. And today I'm going to use a mantra to help keep my mind focused on the present, to stop it from time traveling to the future or the past. It's what our mind likes to do for a lot of the day. And that's where stress, worry, and anxiety can come from. So as As I breathe in, I'm quietly repeating just inside my own head the word expansion. And as I breathe out, I'm quietly repeating the word release. Inhale, expansion. Exhale, release. You might even visualize your lungs expanding as you breathe in, like balloons. Your body releasing down into the floor as your lungs get small once again on the breath out. This expansion and recoiling in your lungs can be a nice visualization for a busy mind. Stay for 3 to 5 more of those big belly breaths. After this exhale, if you have the bolster on your feet, bend your knees and slide your heels down the wall so that you can grab for the bolster and just put it off to the side. And with your heels in close to your hips, we'll open your knees wide to butterfly. And you can always adjust, maybe walking the heels up further so you're in more of a diamond-like shape. You're welcome to slide your heels in as close as what's comfortable. You can always use your hands to press your knees a little wider if you feel that invitation. You want to feel like your tailbone is pressing down. The back of your pelvis, your sacrum, is pressing down and not lifting up. If you are feeling that lift from tightness in your low back, again, slide that blanket or the bolster underneath your hips. And return back to the focus on your breath and the repeating of your mantra. Breathing in, expansion. Breathing out, release.
Gentle opening of your inner thighs. And stretching the outside of your knees, your ankles. And the yogis say that butterfly pose, Baddha Konasana, can help to fight fatigue, can help with asthma, and good for increasing circulation. We'll be here for about just another minute and a half. So if you need to adjust and add in the hands or slide your heels closer, feel free. Last 3 to 5 breaths. And after this exhale, you can straighten your legs back up the wall. Maybe wave your feet a little side to side or bounce the legs up and down. Anything that feels good for you. Could even hug your knees into your chest. If the legs are straight, try pointing your toes, rotating through your thigh bones left to right. Do the same with flex feet. And just let them land naturally. I'm going to go a little deeper into the inner thighs now with our wall dragonfly or straddle pose. Allow the heels to slide apart so that your legs look like a slice of pizza or pie. Again, you want the feet to just be natural, so if you need to try pointing the toes or flexing them back to your shins, you can, to let them land naturally. It's okay if the toes angle in slightly or angle out slightly. It's whatever that natural rotation is for you. And again, you could add the hands on the legs to guide the legs wider, adding more weight. Pretty normal for things to shift with time here. We hold these postures for time so that your muscles relax, and so that we can target the connective tissues of your body. Your fascia, which surrounds everything in these 3 deep layers, kind of looks like a spider web, holds everything in place. Even is intertwined in our muscular tissues. And then we have tendons and ligaments, which support the connection of the joints, joining bone to bone or muscle to bone. We're even targeting the joint capsules themselves. We can pump fresh blood, hyaluronic acid, and water to the joints and tissues when we release. Here in your hips, your knees, your ankles, even the knuckles of your toes. And allow shift to happen over time as your muscles relax. Maybe you'll find your legs want to slide open a little bit wider. If this ever becomes too intense, you can always come back to wall butterfly where we just were. With every inhale, expand, and every exhale, release anything that's no longer serving you. Releasing any distractions of your mind with every breath, any tension in your body, your jaw, your forehead. Constantly bringing yourself back to that one point of focus on your breath or your mantra. Just about a minute more in this pose. Really normal to feel this pulling through the inner seam of the legs and lengthening out that connective tissue. You can think of it like pulling a rope tight or taking out the slack in a slack line. So breathe into any of that tension that's coming up with these last 3 to 5 breaths. And then take your hands to the outer legs and help guide them back through center. Again, you could flap the feet a little or bounce your legs. We are going to eventually meet with your knees bent in a wall squat. You can drop the legs over to the right and to the left. staying with your feet about hip width distance, or for a little more sensation, take the feet wider so that you're making more of this windshield wiper motion. And when you've had enough, come back to the wall squat, heel toeing your feet a bit closer. Use your upper arm bones and the strength of your legs to leg press yourself away and dig in with the elbows so that you have a little bit of space between your bum and the baseboard. Your left leg will straighten out. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh in a figure four. If you're already feeling this in your outer right hip, you're more than welcome to stay. Or for a deeper sensation in your glute, slide your left heel down towards your left hip. And I know for me, I also feel this in my right hamstring, sometimes even into my low back. So find the place that you can hold for time. It's okay to relax the right foot, but if you want a little more support for the right knee, you can always just draw your right toes back towards your right knee. Belly soft with every breath out. Feel your front torso expand with every breath in. We moved from inner thighs, inner hips, to outer hips now with this figure four, also called a reclined pigeon pose. And just like before, if your tailbone wants to lift up and away from the floor, you may need to add support under your hips, or better yet, in this pose, scoot your bum further from the baseboard. You should be able to press your sacrum and your tailbone down that way. Welcome to use your right hand to press your right knee away from you. That might increase sensation in your body. If you prefer, you can use your right hand to pull your right knee in a little closer to your right shoulder. That can be really nice if you have any sciatic type pain. That sharp shooting pain down your right leg. Making any adjustments as you need. We'll be here for about 2 more minutes. breath in. Big full body breath out. We'll release the way we came in, straightening your left leg. And uncross the right ankle, taking whatever release feels good to you. And then we'll try out the other side, keeping the right leg straight. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh for that figure 4. Option to stay if this is enough in your outer left hip, or bend at your right knee and find the point for you on this side that feels like a sustainable edge, where you feel that dull ache in the outer left hip, possibly down the hamstring, around the back of your left hip, or maybe even into your low back. You can keep your left ankle relaxed, or find that little bit of engagement drawing your left toes back towards your shin. Settling in. If you want to change up the sensation you're feeling, you could push your left knee away with your left hand. Maybe that turns up the spice. Or pull your left knee in towards your shoulder and chest to alleviate any tingling, any sharp shooting, sciatic type pain that can be caused from a tight piriformis muscle in your glutes. It's pinching off the sciatic nerve. Be here for about 2 more minutes. Feel free to make any of those adjustments your body needs. Big breath in to expand your abdomen. Big breath out, release. Allowing your right leg to straighten and uncross your left leg. Finding the release in your legs that feels best. Okay, we're going to release the front of our hips now. So hug your knees in towards your chest. Nice tight squeeze around your hamstrings or your shins. Squeezing in the front of your hips. This is going to encourage blood to flow back to them when we release. And then from here, roll over to one side. Use your hands to press yourself up. And we're going to do a bridge pose or a supported bridge, just to open the front of your hips after being on the wall. So if you're not using the support of the bolster, you'll keep your knees bent, heels in close, and just press up through the feet to lift your hips as high as what's comfortable. If you want the support in this bridge pose, the bolster will slide underneath your glutes. We aren't going to hold this pose quite as long as the others. So if you want to be a little more active, that's totally fine. You could also do the active variation on the wall with your feet in the squat position, pressing into your feet to push your hips up and away from the floor. You'll bring your hips up over your chest and shoulders so that you're creating that same shape on the wall. Some people find that variation a little intense on your neck, so you might need to pad up behind your head with your blanket, or really make sure you're pressing in with your elbows to create space for your cervical spine. We'll stay here for just about a minute more. Big belly breath in. Full breath out to empty. Lowering your hips down if you were in the more active variation. Or you'll push your hips up in the supported bridge to remove the bolster. Lower your hips back down to the ground. And everyone meet with your knees hugged into your chest once again. You can rock a little side to side here, or make some circles with your knees. And then meet on one side with the support of your bicep as a pillow for your head, just for a couple breaths. And then press your way up to seated. Now, I'm going to give you a little different option for final Shavasana today. If you prefer, you can just lay down on your back
and take your regular Shavasana instead. But I'm going to show you belly Shavasana with a variation for your legs, one more opening for your hips. So if you'd like to come with me, come down onto your belly. Arms out in front with elbows bent. You could even cactus the arms and let your head fall in between your hands. I'm going to rest either one ear or my forehead down on my arms, so you can play around with that. But I'm keeping my knees bent and sliding my knees wide into that same butterfly shape. I'm going to start with my feet knocking in towards one another. So once you're there, rest your head. And if you are going to go one ear down, I'll let you know when we're about halfway to switch. See if you can expand the back of your lungs on your inhales. Release your torso down to the floor on your exhales. Okay, those of you on your belly, separate your feet. Deep breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to cross at your ankles and let your feet fall away from one another. You might feel some sensation in the outer legs and to the outer hips. That's okay. If it's too intense on your knees, you might come back to where we just were. Normal to feel it in the outside of your knees as well. As you breathe in, open your feet wide once again. And as you breathe out, switch the cross so it's opposite ankle in front of the other. And let your feet fall in. With your next breath in, open the feet wide. And as you breathe out, you might want to just alternate crossing the ankles a couple of times if you're ready for that type of movement. If you prefer to hang out in Shavasana a little longer, you totally can, either on your belly or rolling to your back. If you stay on your belly, just bring the feet back together once again. You stay in Shavasana as long as you'd like. Thank you for joining me for practice. Namaste.